Some of them did just shit the light down, so I prepare for them a burial ground. I have a political cemetery. It's not for people like you and me. It is for the politicians. In the grave, look walk with me hand. I find some of them they live too long. And every 5 years they be sing one song. Some of them did just shit the light down, so I prepare for them a burial ground. Rowley, my first pray for him to join me hand, put him down with me. All of them useless politicians, only making up numbers in my life. I refuse body. Muslim them to be with you. If my faith is a little bit hard, if you don't touch all that in both I take in my time with you, I will prepare for you. Make sure you have a satanic ring on your face. That's all you do. That man is away. Bury in the back of my cemetery. To the upside down, he face I can see. But he's strong, he's great, big on the cover he. Just with the hand, good for me. See, political grasshopper. I will feel pity, cause he's my brother. But like he's swinging behind the vine. It's like my head, he don't make up his mind. Picture, Rasta City, and we're glad to get body. Pressing on the town down for the sea. Drink together, watch the
One we sacrifice, yet every week she have new weave, man, she living nice. You and the cold pot man resemble and strong. A bum seated red and you like a tongue. It's not for people like you and me. It is for all them politicians. And I dig in their grave, no fuck with me hand. I find some of them, they living too long. And every 5 years is the same old song. Some of them dead, just shame to lie down. So I prepare for them a burial ground. I have a political cemetery. It's not for people like you and me. It is for all them politicians. And I dig in their grave, no fuck with me hand. I find some of them, they living too long. And every 5 years is the same old song. Some of them dead, just shame to lie down. So I prepare for them a burial. Rowley, my first grave for he. With joy in my heart, put him down with glee. All of them useless politicians, only making up numbers in my island. Al-Rari, I refuse body. I leave them Muslim, them to deal with he. Big smile on my face and with maybe a hand. It's time to move trash from out of this land. So I pray for them a burial ground. Rowley, my first grave for he. With joy in my heart, put him down with glee. All of them useless politicians, only making up numbers in my island. Them Muslim, them to deal with he. Big smile on my face and with maybe a hand. It's time to move trash from out of this land. But I take in my time with he. I personally will prepare his body. Make sure he have a sardonic grin on his face. That's all he does do. That man is a waste. Bury in the back of my cemetery. Turn the upside down, he face I can see. Look for the strongest grave digger to cover he. Not with the hand, put good fork on he. gypsy, political grasshopper. I may feel little pity cause he's my brother, but like Tarzan he's swinging from vine to vine. It's time I help you to make up your mind. Fitzgerald, Rasta City, I know they go glad to get the body. Resi unbeaten, don't fall to sea. Drink 2 beers and watch Coco get happy. Want we sacrifice, yet every week she have new weave, man, she live. I have a political cemetery. It's not for people like you and me. It's for all them politicians. And I dig in their grave, no fuck with me hand. I find some of them, they living too long. And every 5 years is the same old song. Some of them dead, just shame to lie down. So I prepare for them a burial ground. Rowley, my first grave for he. With joy in my heart, put him down with glee. All of them useless. I have a political cemetery. It's not for people like you and me. It's for all them politicians. And I dig in their grave, no fuck with me hand. I find some of them, they living too long. And every 5 years is the same old song. Some of them dead, just shame to lie down. So I prepare for them a burial ground. Rowley, my first grave for he. With joy in my heart, put him down with glee. All of them useless politicians, only making up numbers in my island. Alrari, I refuse body. I leave them Muslim, them to deal with he. Big smile on my face and with me bare hand. It's time to move trash from out of this land. Sardonic grin on his face. Bury in the back of my cemetery. Turn he upside down, he face I can see. Look for the strongest grave digger to cover he.
Because I'm begging the master, give me a walk with Peter. If I some sinners coming, with them I go be dealing. Because the things that they do me, I want to fix them personally. Peter wait, Peter look Cecil Rhodes by the gate. Funny. Peter look the Englishman, we send Cecil Rhodes to Africa land. Funny. Peter take trip, take Raleigh, but leave Victoria for me. Peter, I just don't care what you say, but Mussolini, he can't get away. Why?
This is my time for money.
I'm burning.
Peter, crucify your blessing.
Blazing.
This is your time for money.
I'm burning.
Peter, crucify your coming.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. This is, yes, the Corridor Transformation, your Thursday edition. Of course, it's a short week as far as the ground report is concerned, but not the Corridor Transformation. It's a full week. And of course, we will continue, of course, at the treat, shooting right out of the box. I am not compromising with words, but to use, of course, if you want a gangster term, if you want a Rowley and them term, if you want to say that I'm not going to mix or play with words, the fact is that we must shoot from the hips, and we have a common enemy. And the common enemy, of course, is the government of Trinidad and Tobago that has weaponized itself against the people. And the people must now, of course, defend themselves. And any kind of bastion, any kind of course, fortification that they can manifest, they must, of course, do their duty in order, of course, to save Trinidad and Tobago. This is the singular, of course, issue, and we must, of course, engage. We must engage, and we must do so fervently, knowing full well that the battle will be won by us and not, of course, anybody else. The government has a duty and a responsibility to us. They are not there because of their own volition or on their own volition, and therefore, we as a people, when the government has disappointed, when they have, of course, abused their office, when they have, of course, believe that they can ride roughshod over the people, we must respond appropriately. Let's go. It is, of course, an opportunity to bond them. 2024, 12 months of heat, pain, and agony for, of course, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, led by clearly a miscreant, a person who is clearly out of control and cannot, of course, manage the affairs of the country, and lie. Poverty taxes of the multiple lies in details tonight, as promised last night.
Peter, take trip, take Rowley, but leave Victoria for me. Peter, I just don't care what you say, but Mussolini, he can't get away. Why?
This is my time for Monday.
I'm burning. Blazing.
This is your time for Monday.
I'm burning.
Fire coming.
From this smart man and woman, I feel the full weight of the hand. They made the oppressed law. They don't care about the poor. Peter, these people
That tax is the highest level of dishonesty, and telling the population that this PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of
Peter, I don't want
dishonesty.
you to make fuss. Remember, I want Christopher Columbus. Peter, look, the Englishwoman who on South Africa refused to put sanctions. Peter, I just don't care what you do, but Reagan going in the fire too. Why?
This is my time for Monday. Peter, keep the fire blazing.
Blazing.
This is your time for Monday.
Burning.
Peter, keep the fire coming.
Hit me now.
this PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said the UNC's illegal challenge on property tax has put the local government reform initiative on hold. He said this is because the revenue the property tax would generate would be the lifeblood of the reform process.
They campaigned in 2010 on Axe the Tax. We of the PNM, we are a responsible political party. We know that you are right-thinking, sensible people. We know that you know.
Clearly, of course, the people will be doing a disservice if, of course, we didn't start from the beginning for those who missed it last night. Of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, east, west, north, south, central of President Tobago. And wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. Oh, the chronology of the implementation or leading to the implementation of this, what Dr. Rowley has regularly called, of course, the dreaded property tax. You hear what I say? I say that Rowley call it the dreaded property tax. Like you didn't hear what I'm saying. I said that Rowley said that the property tax is a dread tax. A dread tax. If we have to use our grammatical correctness, then it means tax is a noun. Tax is a noun. And of course, dreaded, describing the noun, so therefore it is an adjective. And dreaded means so horrendous, so horrible, that in the context of what Dr. Rowley was saying back in 2015, and indeed when he was a member of the government of the PNM, but under Patrick Manning, he also said that not one of his constituents could afford $100 at a time when in 2008 the country, according to Rowley, made the most money. And don't get me vexed before I play it, you know. Don't get me vexed. But he said that the country couldn't afford it. His constituents couldn't afford it. And today, it is the best thing since sliced bread. Let's go straight, of course. Let's go straight into the lines. Immediately, a pleasant good night. A pleasant good night. And apparently, we lost that one. But 6940, only WhatsApp 337-6940. But the point I was making is that he said that the taxes are dreaded property tax. Dreaded property tax in 2008. Listen, we must make these people account for what they say. You cannot be a prime minister. Because when a prime minister speaks, it's as if it is policy. That is why when, of course, they are in a public forum and ministers of government are indication that is a blight that we are dealing with. Let's go straight, of course, to the pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Can I tell everybody in life?
Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. I'm hearing you.
It's kind of dazzling in the background. Lennox,
yes.
what's going on? I hear property tax is $600 per month.
No, it is.
So when
not.
that 600 add up to your liability, huh?
No, it is not calculated that way. But we have to be. Why it is despicable? Why it is devious and
I see a clip it, Lennox. No, I see a clip it in, but saying $600 a month is nothing for anybody to pay.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you in what context.
And
All right,
to pay, so it's okay. It's
all
okay
right.
for them.
Okay, you finish?
Lennox a break and a bad.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Call back, caller. But if you are hearing me now it depends on the value given to the rental of your property, or the value of the rental, or the rental value of your property. So it is not right to say that everybody will be paying $600 a month. But in some instances, and too many instances, it will be about $600 a month for the whole year, because it is a yearly tax. So you pay for the whole year. I don't know what will be the rollout in terms of whether they'll accept it by the month or not. But Rowley and they and impotent, they try to calculate it by the month to make it sound soft, to make it sound nice, to make it sound it's no big thing. Well, it's the same thing they said when they, of course, withdraw the subsidy. They say, well, listen, it's only 15 cents, and it's only 30 cents, and it's only $1, and so they went on. But at the end of the day, the taxi drivers and the owners and those persons who apply in that particular industry raise the damn fare, and so it is a burden on the pockets of persons who have a fixed salary. In particular, they didn't go after or didn't impose it on the businessmen who could easily recoup that expenditure by simply raising the price of their product. No, because they are doing business, but they impose that on fixed salary people. I talk about you and I talk about residents where you live, and that is what is despicable. And Rowley, as you know, apart from calling it, of course, a dreaded tax, he said that the UNC back in 2015 was going to bring back land and building taxes. But in doing so, even in those circumstances, and even in circumstances where you would normally pay your $80 and your $100, of course, for the whole year for your property, in terms of land and building taxes, even in those circumstances, when the announcement was made by Rowley that UNC was going to bring back the land and building taxes, not the property tax. It's two different things. Don't let Imbert and them hoodwink you. It's two different things, because that is what we had before. Before, of course, it was suspended when the UNC came into government, because remember, Manning was trying, of course, to implement it between 2008 and 2009, when Rowley was vehemently, forcefully opposed to the tax. That hypocrite, that nasty, deceptive, miscreant and criminal. It's criminal to, of course, hoodwink people in that way, especially if you acquire the position of Prime Minister. And as I was saying, a Prime Minister, when he speaks, is as if it is policy, as if it is, of course, you have no choice but to implement. It is not already shall. But this Prime Minister believes that he can tell people one thing and do something totally different, and he must not pay the price or account for that. Well, I want to say that just as how he would tell us that it is his responsibility as Prime Minister to implement initiatives and programs as far as they are concerned, the government is concerned, because they have the responsibility so to do. Well, I want to tell him that when you lie to the people, it's also a responsibility that the people ultimately must adjudicate and judge you upon. And I say to you, you're a blasted liar, you're a blasted deceiver, you're a blasted conman, and you are the devil incarnated in Trinidad and Tobago personified. Yes, indeed. There's no doubt. No doubt. So he said it's a dreaded tax. Property taxes are dreaded tax. Do not allow Imbert to try to tell you now that these taxes were always there. And of course, the UNC leave it for them to implement. All that kind of hogwash. Clear. Rowley told us categorically, pellucidly, and conspicuously, and in the presence of international witnesses, are talking about high commissioners and ambassadors at the Hyatt Hotel in 2015, before the 2015 elections, when they launched their manifesto, That is what Rowley said. That is what he said. He said, and you know it too. You have to be wicked to, of course, thinking something different now. You're wicked if you're saying that you didn't hear him say that. Well, of course, you heard him on the corridor transformation over and over. You have heard him, of course, on the ground report and other places where he said in no uncertain terms categorically that tax is a dreaded tax, and that therefore the PNM, if they come into government at the time when in 2015, when he presented the manifesto of the PNM, he said that anybody saying that the PNM will bring back that dreaded tax, then it is the highest level of dishonesty. Highest level of dishonesty. How today, for them and him, it's the best thing since sliced bread. How come? And he gave reasons then. On the one hand, undermining, when he was undermining Manning and wanted to take the position of leader of the party. I don't know how you people who say that you are rank and file and you are upper echelons of the party could stomach that man. You had to be a political kobo, but to say a literal kobo to stomach that man. That piece of filth. Yes. That piece of garbage. But let's go straight, of course, to the line. We give way, of course, to the lines all the time. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor.
Yes, good night, Lennox.
No, good night to you.
I'm listening to you. All we have to do, Lennox, is just take a stance and don't pay. But I know we ain't gonna get the support of the people who have all them big time house. They have their big time businesses.
Yeah.
Black people have nothing. Did I say black people have latrine and lavandale? So no, they does always say black people have. And the few black people will have little business and things. And who have large houses. Not rentals, but large houses, because black people hardly renting out the place. So I believe they will take a stance. So let's look on the other side, the one who have all the businesses, where they're employing people other than the black people who here a long time. When Rowley say the Venezuelans is not to pay NIS, it's they who take them, they employ them. They even build rentals on top of what they have. They take loan. I know a lady take loan, and she have 3-story apartments renting down in Madras Road, right? And them go run and pay the property tax, raise rent on people, and they cool with that. Just as how they take the Venezuelans to work. And nothing for the black man. Black man had to self-employ themselves. I hear you saying that people are looking for jobs again. But I know black people learning to do business now. If it's to just sell water by the road with a little cigarette and paper to smoke weed, who want weed to smoke in the road, they could run and get a paper, right? And they're making a little dollar when they realize, look, in 4 hours, I could pull a $400-500. They ain't going nowhere to work again, so they're learning business by simple things like that. Then it have the ones who doing illegal things, they're selling the drugs. Then it have who thieving. That's what black people doing to survive, right? So it have a problem there now. When you don't stand up for these kind of things, it's more problem and more problem coming. So they create a problem by where they throw aside the black people, the Negroes, good, and they take them pink skin. Where leave black people to do? Thief. It's showing hate crime. When they go to thief, you're hearing the raping. They're raping young women, old women. Some of the people, and even some people, when they get robbed, they're saying what go on. right? You think it's easy for you to see your daughter getting raped? And these people business. They only asking, let me vote, call election. Rowley have no time at all here. Rowley have no time at all. All you could call, say call how much election all you want. And when time comes for voting, right, them same black people in Laventille and Beetham and things, they're going right back and vote for him because nobody don't rob nobody in Laventille, you know. Lennox could tell all of that. You don't hear nobody in Laventille getting raped, robbed, and all these kind of things. And it's just the east-west corridor, and Rowley going to win again. Because the central and southern part of the country is where have the UNC voters. So it's him to come out and take a stand. If only is opposition, only against, come out and take a stand because few people on this east-west corridor here where I live in, right, will make a stand and stand up and vote for the UNC. Few are we, right? The people in the southern part, all they try and make a stand. And people who calling on the chat to talk, people on the chat talking stupidness, and the ones who calling to talking, calling every night or so to ask for the people, the citizens of this country. I don't see where any shooting, any robbing, any raping is going to stop. It is going to continue. Right? Right now I see this whole thing too as a racial war. It's a war right now. People have to accept that, understand that. Have a good night, Lennox.
Same to you, of course. And what the takeaway from the comment of the last caller is very simple. It means, therefore, that necessity is the mother of invention. Let me repeat that. Necessity is the mother of invention. But there's another factor that we must, of course, also weave into this philosophical or practical, what I consider to be cliche or maxim. Necessity, the mother of invention. It means, therefore, if your back is against the wall and you have, of course, and you see yourself endangered, then it means, therefore, you have to find ways and means, creative and otherwise, in order to extricate and to, of course, alleviate and to get out of the morass and the complexity or the complex that you would have found yourself in, whether you cause it or not. So hear what? I accept the fact that people are going to, of course, act in their own best interest. Let us not waste time. But that best interest element, it, of course, will be dependent on the levels at which, or the level upon which, or the circumstances under which you have to make a decision. So I accept the fact that if people have their big homes and so on and they don't want to lose it, then they have the option of saying, listen, before I lose a home, let me, of course, go and pay the property tax. I accept that. But there is another fundamental countervailing or should I say, a consideration that must also take place. If it is that there is a unanimity, if it is that everybody says that they're not paying the tax, whether you have your big building or you have your squatter facility somewhere in Laventille, as the case may be, then, of course, that sends a potent message to the decision makers and whether or not they will achieve their objective of further pauperizing and putting pain and ache and, of course, sending the population into further, of course, what I consider to be retrogression, going backwards. So that is on the table. Necessity, the mother of invention. Necessity of the mother of invention in the case where, of course, as she said, people looking to take a case of water and convert it into maybe some dollars in order to eat, etc. But that does not take away the fact that because of the broader policies of the government, and because investors will not come to Trinidad outside of the gas and oil and petrochemical, where, of course, is a ready-made and, of course, a black gold opportunity. Let's face it. But the fact is that Trinidad and Tobago does not depend in terms of the operation of the society on oil and gas and petrochemical. You had to eat too. But we have a food bill of over $4 to $6 billion. We have to import technology, computers, etc. But educate and edify ourselves. We have a health system that has to take care of those infirmed and those who would require repair to their body, to the biological, person. Because we are made up of course, and in the context of a biological being. We have muscles, we have eyes, we have heart, we have nose, we have mouth, we have skin, we have lungs, etc. So the health system must also play its role. We have young people who may want to engage in sports. We have other persons who prefer to gravitate to cultural development, whether it be the steel band, whether it's calypso, whether it's soca, or whether, of course, it's chutney, and we can go on. We also have people who, of course, prefer to specialize in, let's say, in clothing, because one of the fundamental of a human being for existence is, of course, clothing. But you also have, as I said earlier, indirectly, you have to depend on food as well. And, of course, those persons in the construction industry, because you have to depend on shelter as well. So food, shelter, clothing. And these days, to give your mind some ease, you also have to depend on entertainment to go out a little bit like me on a Friday night and, of course, ease the brain and, of course, get some recreation, because, as they say, all work and no play make Jack a dull boy, and all play and no work make Jack a mere toy. Let's go to the lines because we have a lot to discuss tonight, philosophically and practically. Present, a good night. Welcome. Welcome.
Hey, Lennox, how you doing, buddy?
Well, of course, as usual, shooting from the hips.
Well, that shooting thing will get you in trouble, Lennox. Take care, let me go and lock you up, you know.
Well, I mean...
You're talking about gunplay and about 9 or 10 people don't get killed already, but that's serious when you're talking there, no, partner.
I'm not...
Be very careful.
I'm not
You're
offending
shooting people.
anybody.
Go ahead,
I'm not offending anybody. Go ahead, my friend.
Take care of him behind bars tomorrow. I ain't talking about the bike, you know?
I hear you. Go ahead, my friend.
I ain't talking about that. I see the Mahasabha named the Shiva Boys Hindu College after Basil Pandey.
Very good. That
they
is
take front
magnificent.
before this PNM government name everything on the man. He had never had nothing named after him. He didn't say he didn't want nothing. Wait till they see how they go honor him. Probably the only thing they gave him is a state funeral. And that will be the end of that. Because always saying David Mohammed clamoring for that report to be named after Eric Williams. Like how much do you want Eric Williams to get here? You don't get the medical complex. Yeah?
And frankly, don't bother with these fellas. They have no say. They have no say in anything. They have betrayed, of course, the trust of the very people that they philosophically say that they are supporting and so on. So I don't pay much attention to David Mohammed and I say pure hogwash.
They have a meme going around
an elitist
they say, right?
Intellectual.
They want to name Martin after Pandey because he's not a worthy person to name Martin after him. But they say when the same fate happened to Rowley, that's how to name the petrogen oil refinery after he. Because he He was the one that saw the demise of that. So I agree with that. I second in that and I third in that. Let the name the oil refinery was debunked and in scrap fire now after Mr. Rowley, or Dr. Rowley. Let he get an accolade if he had to name something after him. He deserves a street or a corner named after him. Let he put his name on the oil refinery because he helped kill off the oil industry in this country and set it in a way that nobody
Yeah, set it
can
on fire.
build over
Set
the
it
refinery
ablaze.
again. It gone to the
Yeah.
scrap fire and dealer.
Set it ablaze.
How about
Set
the
it on
Lennox?
fire. Yes, thank you very much. Set the oil refinery on fire. He's the one that did it. He generated a conflagration, a huge fire, as far as that is concerned, and of course, sending the oil, gas, and petrochemical industry into a spiral downwards. That is, remember, of course, it is under his watch. I think it's 2021. The National Gas Company, a company that, of course, was always a cash cow for the government, whatever government, Manning government. And then, of course, the Kamala Prasad business, they had them roll out to certain community-based projects, whether it's the lighting of recreational grounds or sponsoring of various tournaments of a sporting nature. And, of course, come again, Rowley did the same thing, but, of course, when somebody else did it, as we saw him, he would, of course, be ranting and raving and saying that they should do it, but he is doing it. And so we know he's a total and absolute and consummate hypocrite and someone who cannot be trusted from here to there. Because the same thing he would say, he would have said yesterday, is a different thing he will say about the same topic tomorrow, and so on and so forth. I started, of course, by saying that these kinds of, well, maybe a more appropriate adjective to describe that kind of role model is a pseudo-race model, a false race role model. That is what he is, a false role model. Because I cannot understand how it is that you could make such a fervent, solid, all the recipients' airs would have been clean. Hearing, of course, that you're not going to close down Petrotrin and then close it down. I cannot understand that. I cannot understand that you said that the property tax is a dread thing, and you do not want another word to describe how horrible or how dangerous, how nasty, how untouchable, how septic, how defective, cynic, how negative, how totally and absolutely it's a scary situation. How one should distance themselves when you use the term dreaded. It sounds like a vampire picture. Dracula dreaded, and Rowley says that on a podium to an international and local audience of party, rank and file, and upper echelons, and of course, the world at the Hyatt. So the venue itself is one that is monumental and iconic. You say it's a dreaded tax. And today, that adjective means nothing. Let's go straight, of course, into the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night.
Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you as well.
How are you going today? I really miss the ground report today. I only hear you alone.
Yes. Well, and only on radio. So we
I
had a
only
little
hear you
challenge
alone today.
Yes.
I want to tell tonight is my contribution will be very short and one. I want to tell Miss Arima, Trinidad people is too damn lazy, right? And
Yes.
I'm not lying to tell you, Venezuelans work for the money. So she's out of place and fast. Because Trinidad people, when they hit Carnival Thursday reach, you are seeing them until Ash Wednesday or Thursday. You hear? Because if Trinidad people is holding down the job, so that we could have been in a better country. So tell she, she crawl. She crawl. Because I can tell you, I have Venezuelans working for me. And let me tell you something, they work damn good for their money. You get? And Trinidad people, lazy. You get? So even though they come to that, they're working for the money. So woman, let me tell you something, you are no nothing else yet. Stop beating up your mouth like a parata roti and a tower. And tell Trinidad people work for the money.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But again, as we started, let us get the philosophy and the maxim clear. People act in their own best interests. We are asking you, for example, on this program every night, when the time comes to vote, vote in your own best interest. In other words, vote for the party that will best serve you. And because we have had the benefit of hindsight or history, the UNC served us, whether under Pandey, whether under Kamala, much better than any succeeding PNM party. So from that perspective, your best interest is to settle for and to, of course, vote for and to put a UNC and therefore, in this case, Kamala Persad-Bissessar administration back into government. That's one side of it. The other side of it, of course, is when we bring to the fore the question of the poverty. Some say poverty tax, but I say I'm using the established term property tax. A person may have their big house and so on, and maybe because of the investment and it is so emotionally attached to them, or vice versa, it is that they are attached to it, that they say, not me, because there's a penalty, and I will, of course, go and pay the property tax. It is from that perspective. I hold no brief for Ms. Arima, but I understand what she's saying, that there needs to be a unanimity. There needs to be a consensus. There needed to be, whether you have a big house, a small house, and any property in between, that everybody must come together and not pay the tax. And they do not, of course, breach the picket line as some workers do when, of course, they are called to strike. Some go ahead and work, and they therefore undermine the whole process. So I understand clearly what you're saying, that all must come together, whether you are small, in between, or large, and of course not pay the tax. Whether we will get that or not is subject that has to be, of course, not only evaluated, but also, of course, to be critically examined, and knowing the culture of Trinidad and Tobago, and knowing that, of course, we can be straighted or segmented according to upper class and middle class, working class, underclass, as the case may be, the poor, the rich, and the in-between. All of those categories must, of course, unanimously say, according to what I understand Ms. Arima to be saying, that they must have this common position and therefore act, not just talk, not just establish it, not just generate the narrative, but to act it out. And that is to say, do not go to the revenue offices and pay whatever is evaluated to be under the present formula for property tax that has been assessed by the government. That is what she said. Very, very, very simple. Whether we'll get it or not, there is where the difference and the speculation is. And of course, the debate has to be, because everybody must be on board. Let's go straight, of course, to this call. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hey, Lennox Smith, good night to you and everybody else on the live.
Good night to you as well. Yes, loud and clear, my friend. Loud and clear.
Right.
Loud and clear.
I was saying I was gonna listen for the rest of the night, but the last caller there say something there. It ain't same with me. Pleasant at all, which is Trinidadians and lazy people. I want to correct your last caller because that is your opinion, but I dealing with the reality. When Kamala was building the highway from San Fernando to Point 14, it had over 1,500 workers work on that highway. And Lennox, to complete segment, it's hard work out there. It didn't know Venezuelan working on that highway. It's Trinidad and Tobagonian work on that highway. It has certain times we work 24 hours to get a particular job done. Now, the reason why these Venezuelans coming, they are and working right now is because they have problems back home. Same reason why we just leave Trinidad and go to other countries, we just work damn hard all day. But the policies of the PNM, where workers concerned, for example, PRD security firm, when them workers and them work, they doesn't get the money on time. And when they watch some of them how they working like they chop down up in the air because they're not getting motivation to work. We only strip away the motivational part of the job in order for you to get productivity from the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. So that is why they're using these foreign nationals to get the job done. But if they put policies and things in place for the national, for the citizen, it ain't making sense. So I want to correct that last caller. Trinidad and Tobagonians is hard-working people. The problem is Rowley and the PNM. Time for them to go.
Yesterday, people, well, of course, I'm talking in the background because I'm just correcting, I think, a common issue that I will momentarily resolve. Think about now. Let me get back in your presence. Let me get back in your presence. But so I was seeing something on the monitor here. We are monitoring, of course, the program itself in the studio one time, so I'm able, of course, to detect whether there's a voice problem, whether it be, of course, what I consider a video issue. So I think I have corrected it. But of course, the caller is correct. There is no need to castigate. We know, of course, the Venezuelans, whether they like it or not, have to work hard. Whether they like it or not, you see, just as the Americans, when we go there to the United States, I see, and when I went there, I think it was in New York City, and I saw a taxi driver from Trinidad, a mobile taxi driver, and I saw him there, and he was, of course, doing something, I can't remember exactly what, but of course, he was sweeping the streets, and I know that he will not sweep the streets here in Trinidad. You know what I'm saying? I saw him, and if my eyes didn't physically observe that, he would go to America and in 6 months or so come back and buy a new vehicle, or another or two, and then of course he would give fellas to work and so on. But he would have been making his money by going, of course, to New York and the United States, and of course sweeping the streets, working scavenger work, etc. But not here in Trinidad, he wouldn't do it because he also and he, of course, developed a certain status. That's the point I am making. So I clearly understand what the caller has said. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Lennox, I just wanted to tell you, you could check your Lennox.
Yes,
Check up on your system there, coming across like Keith Rowley, coming up.
yo, but
Check
I
your
was
system coming across like Keith Rowley, something like.
Yes. Let me just check that out. All right. So I think it should be all right now. It should be all right now. Let me just go straight to the lines. It should be all right. Good night.
And then something like a robot.
All right, okay. Am I still singing that way? Am I still singing? I have corrected it. Am I still singing that way? Yeah, let me make sure and monitor it from here. All right. I think we have corrected it, but let me just make sure, because just as you, there's a delay from when I speak actually and when you get it on your system. All right, so I think I can continue with the assurance that I am confident that it has been adjusted since. Yes, indeed. Of course. Let's go again. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Like Terminator, it's like Terminator on the live.
It's still songing that way.
Something will fix it. I don't know. Song like Terminator.
Is it still songing that way? All right, okay. I suppose I have to wait a little while. Yes, indeed. Let me just make sure. I suspect that it is rectified. So let me continue. I have faith in the system that we have here. All right, let me continue, man. So I'm saying that depending on your circumstance and your position, let's go straight to it once again. All right, has it been corrected? Hello?
Yeah, good now. Good now.
Good now? Right, good. Thanks.
It has certain people on the live want to blame Kamala or the red. Yeah, good now.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, go ahead.
That people on the live want to blame Kamala or the red going up, right? Kamala cannot do nothing for that.
I mean, that is an asinine statement. I wouldn't even entertain that.
And she asked for the support. And
that's an asinine statement.
And she said who voted for she will have to pay property tax.
Yeah, that's a report for a storm.
The people who make it and want to pay property tax.
Yes.
And there was a vote for Philip too. I feel it.
All right. Yes.
So where they campaigning now for?
Yes. And of course the people do not pay attention to those what I consider to be frivolous, superficial people who want to defend the indefensible, because clearly if a person is now blaming Kamala Persad-Bissessar, who for 5 years did not implement that tax, and Rowley said that he would not implement it, we are now saying that it is a dreaded tax. Then if Kamala did not repeal the law, it was the duty of Rowley to do so, because she didn't expect to lose the election. She did not expect to lose the election. So therefore, when Rowley was talking as that is why we are talking about integrity. We are talking about morality. We are talking about the sense of right and wrong. Rowley has lost his sense of right and wrong. He's seeing wrong as right and right as wrong. That is the kind of conflicted individual we have. But that is not just conflicted, that is a person who is totally depraved, devoid of moral and ethical standards. Let's go straight to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night.
Lennox, a pleasant good night to you.
Yes.
Are you hearing me, Lennox?
Loud and clear. You were conspicuous by your absence last night.
Okay, because just so we're not hearing anything, we didn't understand what the caller was saying. Right? And in life, it's been a lot of trouble tonight.
Boy, all
Lennox,
right. Yes.
I want to say,
Go ahead.
yeah, really good, right?
Go ahead, I'm hearing you.
Okay. I want to send my condolences. Right. I want to send my condolences to the PNM on the passing of Basdeo Pandey. Because now they have nobody to help them mash up Pandey now. I'm so long they want to write history with Pandey about what he did to Pandey, forgetting that Rowley went to for in and walk over and money to twist him. They forget that Manning was chased out of Bali's house by PM after the struck. And we heard it from Barry when he had Mr. Banker. And he used to come and cry on the radio station with all you. Right?
Yes.
We heard it from his mouth. And then they sat down and signed condolence, but they were crying and man and said, come now, talk about 20 people. So I find now all they love Pandey so much. Why all they don't rename Bali say house to Pandey house? I find that is most appropriate. And another thing, I am hearing these mocking pretenders, these deceivers and them, talking about Kamala never did anything but stopping the property tax. These pumpers and them didn't pay money, no tax for 10 years because she stopped it as soon as she came into office. She tried hard to get it because you hear her say that when they come back, they go to start with the commercial. And that's what she was going to start with, not residential. And she was not going to put that percentage on it. No rental value. She stopped it. She told us what was the problem that they were experiencing from the staff of the Ministry of Finance. And you know, Lennox, Kamala was not going to fire anybody.
Yeah, of course.
She was not going to do that.
She is honorable, not Rowley.
And you have these deceivers, these... Yeah. She doesn't go to put anybody to a job. And have these deceivers, these mocking pretenders, and them coming say, Kamala, the rent going up, right? And Kamala did nothing to stop the property tax and get she out and put Vassar. Who the hell is Vassar Barrett? Where has Vassar Barrett been for the last 10 years? 8 years, sorry. When the last time we saw him, he was in Maruga trying to help the Gypsy. And put Vassar just so. These people are really sick and demented. They stopped supporting Pep now. At first it was put Philip Alexander. Now it's put Vassar Barrett. But Kamala ain't going nowhere. Kamala ain't going nowhere.
Any port for a madman
What's wrong with these people, you know, Lennox?
Mad people, you're right, they're suffering from an acute case of dementia. Yeah, they're in mental and cognitive decline.
Something wrong with these people, Lennox.
Yes.
And the next bamboo mouth talking about the Pandey out party. Nobody put Pandey out of his party. Kamala won the election fair 13-1. Pandey was in charge of the internals. And he couldn't stand his office and he came out after talking about who thief what. They never put the man out of the party. When Kamala asked him to come back to be an advisor, he refused. He was too bad-minded. You brought up woman over the place. And just talking now about people talking about put the man out of the party chief up. Well, it's now. He wanted to take it to his grave with him. I saw to be so blunt. What he wanted to do? You went over and formed your own party. And it still have people talk about Kamala and they put you out. Nobody put him out. He put himself out. But you know, like, time and time again,
Yes.
PNM always want to rewrite history. They always want to rewrite it.
All the time, all the time. But always in their interest. And
fake.
fake.
It don't change.
Yeah, and fake. And
All
fake.
the
And
time,
fake
it don't
history.
change. Yes. And they're coming to talk about what they were UNC Dupande. You would swear they did nothing. But you know what? We are here to remind them.
Of course,
We
of
are
course.
here to remind them. And Lennox, I heard you say something earlier. I came on a bit late because I was making sandwiches for myself.
All right, go ahead.
And I heard you talking about some people having no choice because they didn't want to stay home with the property tax. Right? Just a fact. People work hard now to build their home.
Of course.
Nobody
And that is the
knew when
point
they
I was
were
making,
making
yeah.
stone soup to build their home.
Yeah. You're breaking up, man. You're breaking up.
It don't work so. But I'm breaking up.
Go ahead. I hear you now. I hear you now.
But you know, right. But you know what? Kamala promised that when they get back in here, they're going to stop that property tax. And I am holding on strongly to her promise. I'm holding on to it. Lennox, thanks a lot and have a good night for listening to my 2 cents.
Yes, indeed. And you cannot, as I say, you cannot begrudge those persons out of an abundance of caution, having regard to the sweat and the material and the financial input into clearly what is a lifetime investment. Anybody, some people say a car, but certainly a home is the most expensive, but the most significant, above significant other accomplishment or achievement of anybody is to get their land and get a home. Without your home, there are several deficiencies, especially nearing the ending of your period on earth, because all of us, like Pandey, like Robinson, must go the same route. And so you have to respect that. But as I said, if there is a greater consensus, if there is a narrative and a conviction that requires all to participate, and I have no doubt in my mind that the question of property tax, having regard to the antecedent, having regard to what Rowley and they would have said about the tax, having regard to the action or inaction that was taken with respect, of course, to property taxes. I like to say poverty tax these days, because it's really affecting all across the board, including, of course, those so-called persons at the upper echelons of the society in terms of the financial and other position society, as well as the middle class and the working class in this country. So if there was ever an issue that all of us should stand united, is the question of property tax. What I know for sure is that everybody detests it. I know that. Even Rowley detested it in 2009 when he was saying that not one of his constituents could afford an additional $100, when in 2008, just a year before, the country made the most amount of money, and what they did, they spent it on chewgum and, of course, international conferences and the construction of the Government Plaza, and of course we have, of course, the Diplomatic Center, and we have, of course, Sapa and of course and Napa. All of those things were spent. The money was spent on. Our President, good night. Welcome. Welcome.
Yes, Lennox. Hello once again. Mr.
Yes.
Rima speaking here.
Yes.
I want to say something.
Go ahead.
I am believe if people and pay their property tax, they come in to take any property. That's a fraud. These people are fraud. It's time only believe, understand. Don't believe in them. Guys are fast. When they send out the forms, and you know a certain type of people run fast and pay. The ones who have the apartment rental where they're afraid. They're always
Yeah, because
afraid.
I mean they have an
Such a
interest
naive
to protect.
one.
Yeah, okay.
They
Yeah.
rush. They rush and they go. At that time, they was looking to see how much people will run and go and do this thing. They run, they go.
Yeah,
They
but
make
in
it
the water,
hard for others
yeah.
who
It's
make a stand.
a criminal survey, yeah.
Yeah. So you think if you have a apartment rental, let's say 1,000 people have that around this country, they're running to take it in. They're only testing. And if when they get you, when they run and pay, you can't see where the money goes. They believe that going to fix any road. They believe that going and give you certain things in your community. Let them believe. About the person calling from Valsane, I don't know if it's a man or a woman. The voice kind of confusing. You know them kind of confusing people. You don't know if there's male or female.
Go ahead. Make
Right,
your
the song and so. Let me tell you something. I had given you no message to give. She ain't talking to she. Yeah? Miss Arrogant were boxing out she child or quarrel in front of the principal with the child. I don't know if you feel because you tell Lennox that you could talk to me as you want. Lady, you too, man, whatever is, you're too dense to talk with me. You have no solution. You're a bacchanalist. You hear? Call and talk something with sense. Them Venezuelan and them over there that's worth for $5 a month. When the family come here, all they have to send is a little 200 PT. Their currency is much lower than ours. Right? It's even lower than the Guyanese dollar. So when they come here, they're thirsty for the job, and people like you, because you admit that you just employ them. Right? Oh, Trinidadians lazy. We wasn't lazy before. It's we black people used to work earlier. Right? And only hiring few of us is the poor black people, the young people who can't get jobs. Some of them have the education. They can't get jobs. 9 and 10 subjects, they will turn and work for the business people like you. Right? In the past, if they want to work, you fire them. You take our next one. What's wrong with that? And we used to live before. All the business used to go on. You used to get rid of the lazy ones. But it's the NIS all they want to pay. Or they create a problem inside of here. And all who wasn't thieving, start thieving. They didn't used to have so much of thieving here. But I like how black people trying a little business, as I say, if it's a little water and sweetie, they're selling by the side of the road. They're understanding what is money now. It ain't gonna be no money for you at $400-500 in a little 6 hours when the day come. They don't have no wicked boss man over their back. They could report to work, they won't work when they feel, they could leave when they feel, but they're holding at $400-500 in their hand. Whereas when they're working for people like you, we're over the back. They used to be working for a little one something when the day come. So they get to feel money, taste money, smell money. And they will learn how to cut and contrive. That is what I see. I on the ground. I see in that every day. Black people trying all kind of business. They get beaten and thrown off the streets. They're fighting to make a dollar on the streets. And this year Christmas, right? The corporation ain't bother nobody. They give everybody and most of the corporation a chance to sell on the street. Because why? We have to live. Other businessmen, right? The Chinese are talking about importer Spain, right? The Syrians and them giving black people a chance to sell in front of the store so they can make $1. Lennox, you must take a walk and see how black people selling on the side of the road more than ever to make $1. And in time to come, they will wake up more and black people go support black people. I tell you so. Right? All they declare war on black people and now all they're balling. That is the truth. That is the gospel truth what I talking. So don't expect to talk and say let us get together to fight all this home invasion and let us speak out. Who all they want to talk for you? Talk for yourself.
I want to commend the last caller for the way she handled the situation, because clearly it is fraught with, it is saturated with a lot of common sense and of course solution orientation for people to of course to do some deep introspection. I think that is important as we look towards the solutions and to of course unite against a common enemy. I have more to say, but let's go straight, of course, to the callers. We give you priority. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you.
I want to tell Mr. Rima.
Yeah, you like how she
talk, right?
She
is talking bullshit. Right? She's talking bullshit. If she want to know who I am, if I is a man or woman, let she come in valse and lift up my dress and my pants and she will see. But I want to tell you something.
But
Indian people work for the money. Indian people work for the money. They eat dash much bhaji, dal and rice when they was looking for ham, lamb and jam. So what Indian people build now is Shan Barashi. Action Barashi. You understand? And I'm telling you from facts, right? Trinidad people is too lazy.
All right, you have
Trinidad people is too damn lazy. Every holiday.
Yes.
No, listen to me, Mr. Leno.
Go ahead,
every holiday come, Trinidad people don't want to walk.
Okay.
So, Miss Rima, come in for saying, you understand? If you know you're from the ground, and all your lecture you have, and all your policy you have, why do you go by Maduro? They help you. So, Miss Santa Cruz, don't talk about Indian people trying to make it worse yet. All the African people break it, or they destroy it.
All right. Thanks very much. Thanks very much for that intervention. A very healthy, very healthy discourse to and fro. But I want to say this, that Ms. Arima clearly is on the ground. So apart from, of course, the recrimination that would solicit, of course, a response, because, I mean, saying you can't make out the voice and all of that, I think that was uncalled for. But outside of that, you have more Africans, of course, engaging in micro business and hawking and so on in order to make a living. That is a fact. And therefore, a person like myself will be interested in that kind of development. Very important development for future discussion. But let's go straight to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor.
Hello, Lennox.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, you can hear me? Okay, good. Do I sound choppy?
Go ahead, let me hear you.
Are you hearing me clearly, Leonard?
Yeah, loud and clear, loud and clear.
Okay, I'm gonna go closer to my. All right. Boy, you're having a real cat fight on your chat tonight. I say this is a real bacchanal, but we have a lot of problems. You see what you said about black people and this whole thing about Indian people. You see.
I'm saying it's a healthy discussion, and I'm glad to be the middleman.
That is when the conversation. I don't think it's healthy at all. I think it debases everything. It debases our intellect.
And I think that we need to focus on, if we have this problem of hate, where did it come from? It derived from the Williams administration, from the PNM. And that's a fact. He never invested in education. He was too busy dating that Chinese lady, you know, this woman, and he was too busy there was so much sexual harassment at that time when Eric Williams served as prime minister. Remember that one girl who should dress up and come to parliament? She was like a white girl. She ended up like being homeless later on. She was exploited and she was dating some big
Speak up a little
man.
more.
They
Speak up
called
a
her
little more
like
because I want to get
Susie,
every
and
syllable.
that was the heyday
All right,
when.
good. You made the point,
Wait,
and you were in disagreement that it's not a healthy discussion. So I want you to start from there because I didn't hear the subsequent pieces. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I was going off target because I wanted to simplify it and get down to the lower levels too. But I wouldn't go into those gutters and the trenches of that because it just resurrects nightmares.
All right,
I think what we need to talk about, the criminal element in our country is because there are no job opportunities. And Arima was right. There are no jobs for young black boys and girls, or even Indian boys and girls. Most Indian people rely on families to get them jobs where they have a small business. You ever walk into Massey? Who are the workers there? Arima's right. But Massey's busy praying to the dead. And that guy who died, wasn't that guy who died in the White Heritage, was a company that Massey owned? Massey's a conglomerate. They get all these tax breaks and they oppress our people. You ever see Massey building schools? Massey will never build schools because they need to have servants. You know, it has a connotation to it. Are you, well, do you want me to continue?
Pardon me?
Do you want me to continue?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm listening very attentively. Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, because I keep hearing like something in the background, like something falling, like water falling. But that's okay. That's the internet, I guess.
All right, let me. I have
we have the
something
best
playing,
internet service in
monitoring,
this
but
country,
let me
and
just lower
everything
that
runs
as well.
smoothly.
All right, good.
But
you shouldn't have that problem now. Go ahead.
okay, but what I'm saying, what I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is there are no opportunities. I remember a few years ago, before COVID, every corner had a bread kid working there selling kiss bread. They were making millions of dollars. Remember, that bread was being sold in every single corner, in every single village throughout Trinidad and Tobago. You had over 1 million people buying bread every single day. And you know, $10 adds up. And who was benefiting? Yeah, they give it a poor guy $300 a day, but they're risking their life standing out there. Instead of building universities and helping elevate people and more technology, they want you to sell in the corner. They want you to sell water, blue water bottles, and they won't recycle the bottles. They want you to drink more beer, and they won't recycle the beer bottles in the villages. You have to beg and borrow to get a beer crate. This is the chaos that we're dealing with because it's all about greed. And it's never about investing in us. That's why we're fighting with each other. You know, I'm so tired of hearing the first man and the first woman. Everybody here was brown and black. You know, I feel like we're missing this whole thing about transformation. Like your show is about transforming lives and bringing knowledge to everybody. I just feel like, this time is a time for all of us now to really reflect and say, where do we want to go? Because I'll tell you something, in my village, we have a lot of Trinidadian Africans moving into our community, and they are building nice houses. They live quietly. They shop in our local parlors. They go and buy doubles in our local vendors. They buy ice cream and snow cone. They do all the stuff in our village. Alu pie, everything. They know all the villagers who run small businesses. And they're trying to be nice to all of us. But we have this craziness where we have an influx now of all these immigrants coming in, these migrants from Venezuela. And our village, which was supposed to be the people from Laventille moving their families into our villages, the ones who are educated. I'm not saying, hey, if you're educated, you can't come here, but you want to work and you want to be part of our community, because none of us are running to Laventille to get a house. I'm talking as an Indian woman now, eh? I love when I see our community coming together and people, even they have the garden, and I see them shopping and buying plants, and we all live together. What about race? And they respect each other.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Of course, I was so anxious, of course, to talk about the healthiness of the discussion. A present good night. A present good night. A present good night. Hey. Yeah. I realize that. All right, okay, thanks. Yes, I was making a point about the healthiness of the discussion. And of course, on the one hand, the last caller said that she didn't think it was a healthy discussion. Boy, all right, we have to go to the lines. Pleasant good night. Sorry about that, but these things happen. Pleasant good night. Welcome. We have a very fervent and feverish night tonight as far as calls are concerned. Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night.
Yeah, pleasant good night, Mr. Lennox.
All the best to you, your family,
yeah,
for 2024. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Lennox. I want to wish you all the best for the new year, you and your family. I want to wish the best for everybody in the live and chat, for the best for the family. So, Mr. Lennox, 2024 is upon us. You know, Mr. Lennox, and I just want everybody to know who the callings and everybody, we respect everybody's point of view. But it's a new year. 2023, we was fighting each other. Let me don't fight each other again. It's 2024. Let me unite. And let everybody do the comments and the point of view. And let me just stick to the topic. The real enemy is PNM and Rowley. Let's get rid of them. Right? And I have a message for everybody who talking. Let Mr. Pandey. To me, Mr. Lennox, he was the best Prime Minister Trinidad and Tobago ever seen in history. Right? And that is my point of view. And I want people to respect that everybody had their own point of view.
Yes.
So let me try and stop just fighting and bickering and quarreling. And we unite. It's 2024. We can't be doing the same thing over and over and expect a different results. And Mr. You know Mr. Pandey personally.
Oh, yes.
Personally, you know Mr. Pandey. And my family know Mr. Pandey personally. And you and I know the real reason why they kick him out of the UNC. But you cannot talk that in public. And I know you know.
Yes.
You have a good night, Mr. Lennox, and thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, of course, for that intervention, because, of course, just by way of information, I gave it this morning on the ground report, but we weren't on social media, so let me say one time, Mr. Pandey's funeral is expected to be on Tuesday, next week Tuesday, of course. Today, Hochoy Charles's funeral was, of course, and he was laid to rest today. I don't know if he was cremated or otherwise, but that was today in Tobago, and Tobago literally was shut down on Tuesday's Pandey's funeral. We don't know yet if it's at Skinner Park or at Sapa, but of course that's the information we have so far. And of course, condolence books are open all over the country in regional corporations, borough corporations, as well as the rotunda of the Red House, as well as of course all the embassies across the world that Trinidad has across or in various countries. That being as it may, let's go straight to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hello, good night, Mr. Smith. How are you doing?
I'm fine, and yourself?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm just calling to relay a message to the young citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
You know, the latest saying that has been circulating is that voting has consequences.
Yes.
Well, to the younger people out there that have degrees and can get good jobs and unemployed and having issues, financial issues, not voting also has consequences. Most of the young people in this country during the process, the grannies and the nenes and the nanas come out in the wheelchair and the walking stick and they go out and they vote. So after the election, to the young people, if things don't work out your way, there is no need for you to complain. Let that be a lesson and something for you to keep in mind coming up to the next election. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Words of advice, indeed. And of course, ultimately, we must be eternal vigilators, if you want to call it that. We must be soldiers, if you want to call it that. We must be macos, if you want to call it that, of our democracy. We must. Because this government clearly has weaponized government against the people and is prepared to undermine our democracy. Government by the people, of the people, and for the people, and therefore transparency and accountability is one of the hallmarks of such an institution, including, of course, the built-in through the Constitution checks and balances that this government has and is prepared, of course, to undermine. We just have to, of course, just observe what he did. Of course, they did to Gary Griffith and his reappointment efforts, as well as, of course, of Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen, and the construction of criminal charges in order to get their way. That is the ultimate. Apart from, of course, the recruitment of ministers of government for the friends of family and, of course, themselves. Let's go back to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night.
Lennox.
Yes, welcome.
I called to tell that lady from Valse and set me up in here. Listen to this. The ones who vote for the government, right, they have information how they vote. And they just get a free gas tank every month. Free tank of cooking gas every month. When they exchange the crude for food, like what they want to do here with this humanitarian aid, ever humanitarian aid they send over there, right? Like the Mexicans and other countries, okay? They just get a 5-pound chicken. They get in sausage and cheese. The Venezuelans in the country, all of them, they don't pay for gas. They could give a little contribution, a little US dollar. Research it. And they come in here and crying. You hear? And people like she, let's take them with open arms. Again, I saying all the time the country was running. Poor black people used to work for all year. The uneducated and even the educated ones who can't get a job, they will work for these Indian businessmen. I call it race now. They will work for them for a while and they will move on. Right? Who lazy, they get rid of them. That is how it was before. Good? And these Venezuelans just get a lot of benefits. They don't pay electricity. They don't pay lights. The ones who you see living on the hills, they build a house rough. They ain't plastered. They run their own wire for themselves. They ain't getting no electrician and they don't have that kind of order there. And they throw a wire on a pole. And they live with 2 bulbs in their house and they have everything and they're coming out well dressed. Right? We're not accustomed to that style. Right? That is what they're doing to us here. I know that. And it has hurt me to see that they come from real poverty. We will say poverty, but that is their way. That is how they live. 10 and 20 of them in a little house. And they come in here and they live in the same way, but in better conditions. These business people that have apartments, they furnish it, they get them ham, lamb, and jam. They will rent 2 of them, and after that, it's all kind of 4 coming to live inside of there. They bring in and they bring in. When they used to rent poor black people the place, you couldn't even bring your man. You couldn't bring your woman. You can't even bring a dog. But these people come in, and 10 and 20 of them are exaggerating. I'm just showing you. Several more coming to rent a 1-bedroom apartment. And they're doing business inside of it. They're making cake. They're relaxing here. They're blow drying here. They're doing nails. And they're making extra money because the people supporting them. We couldn't do that. They see us selling anything in the place, they're getting rid of you. But they could come here and do all of that. Right? And next thing they're helping them with is not only jobs, you know. I talking here tonight. I talking. In that country, they sanctioned for many years with money transfer with Western Union, etc. This is the next thing the stupid people of Trinidad and Tobago don't know. They cannot transfer money. Only if they get a foolish Trinidadian or two to keep transferring. And when you keep transferring, after a time when they see it transferring money, you, the individual who doing it for them, they just get banned from Western Union sometimes for life or for years. Right? So what these business people doing is have a racket going on. They just wire money for them. You hear what I say? That is how they just send money to their country because they cannot send any money by Western Union. Many years now. I have a Venezuelan child and the father cannot send a nickel, couldn't send a nickel through Western Union. And they're telling you about this how to send money. It's them same people all who they're working for, they do bank-to-bank transaction for them. Eh? We would work for a business Indian for years, and you dare not tell them any problem you have in your home. Your wife could be pregnant and need medication. You can't ask your boss for no kind of help in the line of $2,000-$3,000. They just take up the money and give it to them. Them Venezuelan and them just talk, you know, if you hear them both. I do in business, and when they come to buy from me, with the same Indian friend and them, they don't spend a cent to buy. It's the Indian friend and them that buy for them. We here a long time, all they buy anything for we. At the end of the year, when all they have all this celebration, we just get a greasy plastic bag with sweets. And let me tell you something, Miss wherever you is or Miss wherever is. If I raise up your clothes, I will be disappointed. Because I might end up seeing two sexual organs. I could tell from your voice.
All right. I think we have reached this in it. All right. Thank you very much, Miss Arima. Once again, I still think it is healthy, and of course, talk does bring talk. And if it is that people were not aggressive, then of course you don't expect the person to be passive and not respond, particularly if it is designed to humiliate or raise some sensitivity. So here what? I am going to accept that we talk on the issues that is before us, and not the personality. If I hear any personality again, I think I have been very fair. Valsen started. Of course, Arima have a right to respond on the personality part as far as business is concerned and the advancement of Trinidad and Tobago and the community. Let us, of course, get back to that very critical area of the discussion. A pleasant good night. Critical, I don't want you to respond to anything that is personal. Nothing personal.
I built Ramco in Twin City. You hear? I built Twin City. I feel it check. So catch your damn self.
All right, that's it. All right. So what I'm saying is this, that on the why is it the Miss Arima would talk about the Indian businesses? The Indians will also have Indians as employees, subjected to the same treatment. Whether you like the treatment or not, the fact is that they will be subjected to the same treatment. So that much I know. I also want to let you know that I also know what is happening on the streets. There's nobody could know what is happening on Charlotte Street, St. Vincent Street, Duncan Street, Nelson Street as Lennox Smith. Let's get that clear. And I listened, of course, and I say that, and I know what's happening on Prince Street, etc. Yes, there are more people gravitating to business, largely because of the difficulty that is the Trinidad and Tobago today caused by one common enemy, which is of course the government and their mismanagement of the society and the issues that are supposed to be relevant to us today. So I want to make it very, very, very clear. So the recrimination, the personal attacks or the personal commentary, I don't want, of course, I will not entertain that again. Please let us look at the whole question of the business. The business, what is affecting the development and the enhancement of the community. That is what I am concerned with. This is what this is all about, and not the personality. Let's go straight, of course, to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Welcome.
Lennox, I'd like to say something. Yes, Lennox, I'd like to say something about what Mr. Rima said about the Venezuelans. And a lot of what she speaks is the truth.
Yeah, but she's talking from experience.
Really are embraced in the Indian community. I know Indian people. Yeah, and I noticed it too. They went.
Yeah,
a lot
she's
of
talking from
properties
experience.
Indian
Experience is the best teacher.
and they do have like. They do bring a lot of their families, and one of the things I noticed when I moved here 8 years ago, they're in the village, right? They wear like old T-shirts. Sometimes we walk around bare feet. I do, because it's a tropical island. But we dress in really old clothes. I mean, we don't wear nice fancy clothes. And when I see these Venezuelans, I'm not dressed to a T. They wear Nike sneakers. They have really nice makeup, hair done, nails done. You know, and she's right. When they do go shopping, like a tea drink or food or whatever, they don't pay. The person who's with them pay. But I've seen Vennies with light skin, like mixed people working with them. And I'll tell you something. They also don't depend. They don't have to pay. It seems like they just get it. You know. And the other thing is like the Venny girls. A lot of them now are pregnant. And I'm thinking, you know, when Minister of Health was saying that our Trinidadians need to reproduce more, well, don't worry, you know, the Denny's are reproducing now because I think they make up hundreds of thousands in our population. And I don't see them complaining about groceries. They buy a lot. My village was like, just when our village was like coming together, all of a sudden it just broke up. You know, like we have an influx now of all these people who say they can't speak English. But let me tell you something. Venezuela is worse than Trinidad. Venezuela had burglar proofing before we had burglar proofing. It's a community where prostitution is legal. Where if you are a gangster, you could drive into any community, see a couple of girls, rape them, and dump them on the side. We're doing that now in our village, in our community now, aren't we? We hug dying people. We never used to hug dying people. Our killers just shoot them, and you know. But now it's so heinous. It's almost like it's orchestrated and gang related, and there's a heavy drug influence coming into this country, and it comes from Venezuela. I do believe that from Colombia, but our prime minister refuses to address this. National security refuses because the borders are very open. UNC has been complaining about this since 2015, and nothing. And every day we're reading about these Venezuelans. They have to stay overnight there with their children. It's humanitarian. You know, let the United States take all of them and take them to the United States. What do you say?
Yeah.
Go to the United States, get your visa, and go and all play baseball. I'm being stereotypical now. I shouldn't say that. But you know what I'm talking about. Because why does the United States put those sanctions and they dump that burden on us? And you're supposed to share it with us? You see, look, Miss Arima spoke a lot of truths, and that's it.
Yes? Finish? Well, all right, okay. It appears that she is finished. I thought that I thought I was waiting for a crescendo. I was waiting for, of course, the apex of her presentation. But we have to be very careful because we cannot be loose, and because we may have a passion or an emotion, we must be careful to be as objective as possible in a subjective situation, especially where one is passionate about a particular topic. Because whilst, of course, you can talk about the Indian business community, and for obvious reasons, let's face it, the Indian community is half the population of Trinidad and Tobago, and therefore, if they are business oriented, it means that they will have much more business. But I want to say that the same thing applies to the Syrian businessmen and the Lebanese businessmen, and of course the Caucasians, etc. I want to make that very clear. And I saw a set of Spanish people working on Balize House. My office is not too far from Balize House, and I can attest to that. So we have to be as broad as possible without, of course, identifying or offending anyone. But, of course, speaking the truth sometimes may be offensive. But if it is the truth, there's nothing you could do about it. But if you appear to be biased, well, then, of course, it leaves room for people to, of course, penetrate your armor and the veracity of what you're saying. That's all I'm saying. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor. Loud and clear, loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Well, speaking it truth does get people offended.
Yes. And that's the point I'm making. Yes.
Speaking it truth does get people offended, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah. Oh, that one, I was she husband take when the phone in the evening, every blasting when she calling, nobody can get in that thing. Man, you get me right now.
I hear you. Yeah. But it must be objective. It must be, of course, rational. The personality attacks I will not tolerate. Let's get it clear. That's a fundamental rule. You talk about, of course, businessmen accommodating Venezuelans. You may not be thorough. You may say is Indian businessmen. My duty is to say that they are Syrians as well, and that they are Lebanese, and that they are Caucasians, etc. That the Indians, simply because of the numerical difference, meaning that the Indians are half the population of Trinidad and Tobago, and because Africans are not business inclined, you will have a preponderance on the Indian side. But you cannot dismiss the fact that the Syrians, and they have large businesses, and of course a 1% that will of course not relent, but also own part of the 80% of private wealth in the country. 80%. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor. Good night.
Lennox, a pleasant good night to you.
Yes,
I know we're close to closing off the program.
Yes.
But I just want to put something on record tonight.
Go ahead.
You see, after tonight,
yes,
I am keeping my money and my greasy bag of food. And I am not supporting any black businessman. I'm sorry to say that, because if people can turn this against me, I can down and practice it too. Have a good Lennox.
Yeah, but I think it's more emotional, Miss. Don't take it in that light. I think it's more personal, because of course Miss Arima wanted to express, of course, her knowledge, and let's face it, she knows about the Spanish, their culture, their way of life, their modus operandi, their attitudes, and therefore I think it brings value to the discussion, because a lot of people in Trinidad don't know. And therefore, it is a warning, it is a red flag that if you accommodate these people, this is what is possible. And I take note because I know that she has had that experience because she has lived there. In fact, while she was talking, I was looking, of course, for the meaning of those shantytongues that are on the hills. Nothing different to what is happening in John. But when I went to Venezuela, I spent some time there, so I can tell you. And exactly what she said is what I saw. I saw a basketball court in a river, knowing full well that when rain fall, the basketball court will be no more. That is reality. But that's how they live, and therefore she's given us a synopsis as to what to expect from these people if we are not careful. And the government itself should be forewarned of what is possible if, of course, a sufficient large number of them settle here in Trinidad one way or another. That being as a Mayor President, good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Leonard.
Good night to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is Leonard.
Yes.
This is only way too after you, way too. You have nothing constructive coming out of this show tonight. You didn't put your foot down when you were supposed to put it down. And I blame you for all of this. Yeah, them people wrote up the topic, we know they don't know, all kind of nonsense.
The personality thing, I am not involved in that.
Stop this nonsense from the people. Right.
Yes.
Stop everything. Make it easy, brother.
Yes.
That's all I can say.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that observation, and I think you're quite right. And I wanted to say for the longest while before, of course, I tried to finish with the video that I started with, and that is those persons who, whether on the live or otherwise, who have a particular agenda and a preference, politically I'm talking about, I want them to understand that if it is that they believe that Kamala Prasad Bisesa did something untoward, take away the party from Pandey, etc., all of that is collective and monumental, and I would say prolific, and what I consider to be monolithic hogwash. Hogwash, first and foremost. But just in case they didn't remember, I want to also tell those individuals, when you're throwing stone, please, don't live in glass house. You know what I say? I say if you're throwing stone, don't live in glass house. What would you say about Rowley undermining Manning in order, of course, to be where he is in terms of firstly getting in charge of the PNM and then, of course, becoming Prime Minister? What would you say? And don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. It was Rowley who orchestrated, of course, what I consider to be the humiliating exit of the former Prime Minister, his boss, from Balize House. We're telling him about, and therefore orchestrated to take the party away from the man as well. Whilst he was Prime Minister, he challenged him openly. And then, of course, when he was dismissed, it's not that the PNM in that case, when, of course, Rowley was on the rampage in terms of recrimination against his former boss, Manning, and Manning was, of course, at his throat when he called him a raging bull. And, of course, Rowley was saying that if you cannot come up against your leader because the PNM is corrupt. He said all of that. And, of course, he even referred, of course, Rowley, when he was in opposition attacking Manning, he referred, of course, to the airport scandal as, of course, child's play compared to, of course, the level of corruption that he claimed that Manning was under, and therefore the PNM. So what you believe, that somehow you can sanitize Rowley and he must wash his what I consider to be stench mouth on, of course, others, of course, trying to deflect and to change the truth. The truth is that Pandey was under pressure because he was orchestrated by the PNM, of course, as an arch, what I consider to be enemy of Manning, and therefore the PNM, and they threw everything at him. Whether or not he was guilty of the charges that emanated is irrelevant. I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about the fact that it was orchestrated and Pandey was under pressure, and therefore the party was under strain as a consequence because the leader was under such pressure. In such circumstances, there were elements within the party, including, of course, Jack Warner and, of course, people like Gypsy and others who decided, well, listen, Pandey would not be a viable entity to, of course, lead. In fact, occurred during, of course, the 2010 elections, but certainly the litmus test was created in the 2007 general elections. And incidentally, don't tell me I know what I'm talking about, because I was a candidate in that particular election for the Laventille East Mover seat, and I can tell you under the UNCA, and I can tell you the strain came when, of course, Pandey was under charges that clearly would not have made the party successful in whatever future elections that there would have been. So they had to have a sanitization exercise. They had to have, of course, a catharsis. Yes, they had to have a metamorphosis. And that is how Kamala Persad-Bissessar became the appropriate, the pristine, and different to Rowley, while Rowley, of course, orchestrated and undermined in a pure sense of the word, and of course never paid his due because, of course, he entered the PNM under when it was in opposition, and because, of course, they lacked, of course, human resource, and of course, the legacy, lack of succession planning, in other words. He became to the fore, and of course, I want to say that Manning would have been aware that he was, in fact, guilty or had rape and pedophilism on his shoulders, but yet still accommodated him because it appeared that it was any port for a storm, and because he appeared to be a Rottweiler, and eventually, of course, because he appeared to be one that says that he is anti-corrupt and he's going against his own boss and his own party, he was able, of course, to catapult himself to the fore with, of course, the assistance of others, something similar to Hitler. Hitler did the same damn thing and got in charge of the party that, of course, catapulted him to, of course, the Führer. And at the end of the day, the entire German community was in uproar and a furor. Let's tell him about. So therefore, I detest and I will denounce and I will say and fervently project and fight and, of course, aggressively dismiss those ignoramus who pretended that they don't know. It was Rowley who undermined the leadership in the PNM in order to be where he is, not Kamala Persad-Bissessar. Kamala Persad-Bissessar was carefully created. She was carefully nurtured. She was carefully selected as the best, and she ought to have been, because I'm going to tell you more, just in case you don't know, because it will come out anyway. I, as the head of my own party in the UNCA for the 27 general elections, yes, let me repeat that. As the head of my own party, in fact, Julia Davy was one of my leaders when we went in there, because she contested the elections in 27 as well for Laventille East. Today, she's, of course, more PNM than anybody else. But, of course, that is a joke. But I'm not going to go there. But the fact of the matter is that as a political leader, I had equal say and equal stay and equal sit around the round table when we discussed the matter of who should lead the UNC into the 27 general elections. And it was one day, it was unanimously, of course, accepted that Kamala Persad-Bissessar was the right person to lead in the 2007 elections. But of course, and I voted Julia Davy voted. She had to vote where I vote because I was and still am the political leader of Love, Laventille Outreach of Vertical Enrichment. But we went in, of course, in the election under the sobriquet, I should say, of Laventille for Laventillian because it was a good resonating a term to use so the people of Laventille feel and identify with something that is theirs. So we went in with Laventille for Laventillians. And I can tell you that Kamala Persad-Bissessar was the one that was selected to lead the election campaign since 2007. But the next day, because Pandey was out of the country, and when he came back into the country, he and Jack Warner and others, of course, had a different position. And on that occasion, Kamala Persad-Bissessar was ignored, even though we made the decision the day before at, of course, the Emerald Plaza in Tonopuna. You can't talk to me. I know what I'm talking about, and experience is the best teacher. That is why I made certain tonight to say that when a person is talking from experience, you cannot, of course, take that lightly. No, you cannot say that you know. That is ad hominem. That is dotish. That is selfish. And that is, of course, self-aggrandizement. When, of course, you don't know one thing about what the person is talking about. All I say is that you must be armed with all that information. You must be objective because, of course, a person like me will not accept if you are saying that the Indians have businesses, and for obvious reasons as compared to the Africans, because, of course, they have the largest population compared, of course, with the Africans, the two largest population of the 1.5 million that is Trinidad and Tobago. Then, of course, you must say that the other major businessmen in the country, such as, of course, the Syrians and, of course, that 1%, it's also guilty of exploiting the Venezuelans. That's the point I'm making. Let's go straight to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hey, Lennox.
Hey.
Good night again.
Yeah, they get me vex.
You hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, loud and clear, my friend. Yes. They get me back, so I had to expatiate a bit. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. See what's going on. Something not run through my mind here.
Go ahead.
All these years, they've been putting out a lot of information about what's going on with the PNM, past and present, and probably more might take place in the future.
Yes.
The school system right now, I want to find out is this subject we call history, right? A lot of the things that the callers will call and say go Electoral did and the PNM and whatnot. Is there any way that they could get this thing and them to end up in the school so the children can learn what is happening in the time of Electoral? Because I want to believe Lennox Smith. See all this problem we are here today? That problem has to have a root cause. If we don't find out what is the root cause, especially where black people is concerned, we is not going to go nowhere. Because I too had no experience with Indian people both here and abroad. And the problem is black people. Something is spiritually wrong with us. Because if you look across the globe in Africa, they're showing it right now, African people is starting to come out into the light in the invention. Because they understand that there was being oppressed and depressed for centuries. So they're coming out of that right now. When they're showing any movies long ago, African people living in dot house and when is the kind of development taking place across the Lennox is a closely under here in Trinidad and Tobago, and massive store executive says that these people have been paid in US to learn to talk to the dead. That is why you have all these spiritual ills that are taking place in the country. Lennox, for me, this thing is not about African and Indian no more. This thing is against good and evil, God and the devil. People have to know what side of history they're standing on. Because this is why I see it. Our history as Trinidadian, it's missing a lot of people and it's missing a lot of parts. That is why the country not going for the way it should. So we have to start to go back in the history to understand what happened in the days I equal them so we can able to move forward properly. Because right now we're not going forward properly as a country. Something evil is in the midst, that is why the people moving the way they're moving. Lockdown and listening.
And you're so right, but that will be the subject. That is a deep subject. That will be another discussion, of course, because, for example, I would want to put into that matrix, for example, the fact that today, CIC, Fatima College, and of course, QRC were the major colleges that resident, or should I say, got the two open presidential, and we know, of course, in the 60s and in the early 70s, and maybe that the best doctor was an African, the best lawyer, the best, of course, banker, and you could go on and on. What has happened? So you're quite right. There must be some deep and very concerted and concentrated evaluation towards a solution, towards solution, not to know where and what happened, what went wrong. Because as far as that is concerned, that's the easy part. After we know all of that, we must now look at solutions. And that is where I would like to go at least in the latter part of 2024. I should say by the end of the first quarter, we must be talking solutions. And of course, as we identify, of course, the negatives and we can blame where blame is due. At present, good night. Welcome to the corridor. At present, good night.
Good night to you, Dr. Lennox.
Good night to you as well.
You don't mind I call you Dr. Lennox?
Tell me.
Yeah, so after buying and paying VAT on all these items, take my two hands and build something we call a house for item. Probably rest my head. Now I have to rent my own house. But you think that is right?
It can be right.
Yes, Libot and Liwari and delicing and them are the mad people by
They are devoid of moral. They have a vacuum that is absent of values, right and wrong, and a sense of compassion and understanding. But go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, but these people really don't really have no shame and things. Yeah, I would just imagine I work so hard and these people, and then I doubt them ever lay a brick to help Trinidad, to help build Trinidad. All these fellas who reaping by the millions and millions and millions. And I always say, right now, you see that tear gas what happening when we went to protest?
Yeah.
Up to now, I still have a little something in my throat. I just have to get medication for my throat, Mr. Lennox. Probably you didn't see me, but I was there. Me and one of my friends was there, right? And
yes.
If I had to come in town to protest, I can come with my two hands swinging again. And it has to be more serious than that. I talk to my mind. Unless me get something to defend myself, I am coming to protest.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Everybody on the live, good night and thanks, Mr. Lennox.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I hear you. And these are serious decisions that has to be made against those who have consistently and concertedly and deliberately and orchestrated and choreographed the evil that is Trinidad and Tobago, and in the presence of the Venezuelans and in the state of businessmen, now we're talking generally, who of course is much more sympathetic to the lesser fortunate ethnic group who are not business inclined, the Africans, but you will stand a greater chance with an Indian business person to get a job, as opposed, of course, to the others who are purely exploitative. These are issues that are real and must be, of course, treated with, because everybody must provide food, shelter, clothing, and therefore the essentials of life must be and must be addressed and cannot be ignored. Let's go straight. We'll take this final call. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Thanks, Lennox. Lennox.
Yes.
I want to tell you something. And I'm
Go ahead.
talking to Trinidad and Tobago and the world.
Yes.
You hear? I telling you this. The few businessmen that have in Port of Spain City that are Syrians, the 1%, they don't have no Spanish inside and they're working. Check it out, Lennox. You say nobody can tell you about Charlotte Street, Prince Street,
I will go and check it. I'll go and check it tomorrow.
Go there. Go in the few businesses them Syrian have. Go all in Carib and Champlain. Go Carib and Champlain. Why you think they're robbing them? Some of them had to get robbed.
No, Champlain.
They could threaten them and tax these Syrians.
No. Carib has a well-established, what I consider to be labor rules. So therefore nobody could come and take. But the fella in the mall, the fella who owns the building, understand that you
yes.
Build escalators as well as those scaffolding and so on. I think them, and I see them on Barry's house as well. Next time I will take some pictures and I'll bring it there for you. Alright? So please
listen, Balize House, the government have a contract with Cuba. They have contracts with Cuba, government to government, where they have these workers coming to work on these buildings all around the savannah.
House, my dear, is not a government house. Balize House is not a government house.
What,
understand that? It is a political party that is independent just as mine, and therefore is a private entity. It is not a government house.
I ain't saying it's a government house, but I'm speaking that the government bring them through that Cuban government to work here. I know it's not a government house, it's the PNM party house.
That's right.
So what I'm saying is, that's just a small thing. We talking businessmen, Lennox, Syrian and Indian, and the 1% Syrian. Go in the stores. Let me take Port of Spain City. You in Port of Spain.
I'm going to go there if you are told because I
you
go where they
go.
are. I see them. Yeah.
You go. And the people in Trinidad and Tobago, it have who just go to buy things in these Syrian people businesses, and you don't see 10 and 20 Spanish Venezuelan also working inside the place. Right? This is why nobody is threatening them to tax them for anything.
Okay, all right. Let's not
They're not stupid. They're high-ended people.
I'll bring them there.
Right? Go and see. Go and see.
I'll be there. That's what
and let the people of the country to judge that case. Let the people of the citizens of the country go and judge the case. And it's how who know I'm talking the truth. I don't have time to lie. So when you look at it, you're more looking at the Indians. They have hardware, stores, selling those, etc.
All the casinos, etc. All the bars, all the casinos, and so on. You're telling me can accommodate a large number of them. Let me tell you, all the hotels. You can, come on. We are going to talk a little more. We are out of time. But we will talk tomorrow. All right, my friend?
Okay.
All right, yes, indeed. Yeah, we have to talk tomorrow, man. You may know certain things, but you may not know other things. Check every bar for Border Spring, go right up with the point, right down to San Fernando. Check every bar. I check how much of them that are in there. Check every casino. Check every hotel. Come on. I'm not talking about the established businesses that has, of course, its policy already and the established workers. I'm talking about people who could just shift one time, including cloth stores, and food establishments, including cloth stores and food establishments. Alright, so let us not waste time with that, but first, if you take that position, then it's my duty to, of course, prove it. That means many people, of course, I know we have exhausted, of course, the survey process already, but of course, I want to finish. I would love to finish, of course, in that particular video. Let me just get to that video and finish it too. Oh gosh.
Boy, I went back, of course, to the Android voice, but bear with me. But let me get, of course, to that clip. Let me get to that clip quickly and finish it. I'm determined to finish that. Where, of course,
live from the Hyatt Regency Hotel. The People's National Movement 2015 Festival still launched.
The dreaded property tax. Anybody telling the population that this PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty. And telling the population that this PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty.
The appeal court has ruled government's 2017 property tax data collection drive was illegal. The drive briefly made it mandatory for citizens to submit personal details for the implementation of property tax. A 3-judge panel said government via the Commission of Valuations had no lawful authority to demand property owners do so. Justices Peter Rajkumar, Charmaine Pemberton and Vashish Kokram unanimously ruled the Commission of Valuations acted unconstitutionally by requiring Maharaj and other citizens submit a valuation return form with the necessary information on or before June 10, 2017.
The dreaded property tax. This PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty. Property tax. You have a multi-million-dollar house all over this country. This PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty. Amnesty. They end the amnesty the month before they leave office in 2015. They ended it, you know. The dreaded property tax. This PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty. As we came in to collect the tax that they said was due because the amnesty had ended, they start up again. The dreaded property tax. Anybody telling the population that this PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said the UNC's illegal challenge on property tax has put the local government reform initiative on hold. He said this is because the revenue the property tax would generate would be the lifeblood of the reform process.
They campaigned in 2010 on Ask the Tax. We of the PNM, we are a responsible political party. We know that you are right-thinking, sensible people. We know that you know that in every democratic country in the world, that is a tax that populations accept. Because if you want your road fixed, your drain fixed, your mosquito kill, your police service, your fire service, if you want all that, you make a contribution. The dreaded property tax. That this PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty.
There are countries around the world that do not impose property taxes on their residents or non-residents. Bahrain, Turks and Caicos.
That is what I want you to see, that belies what Rowley says about
which also levies
property tax and
Cayman Islands.
all over the world.
It is another Caribbean destination where foreigners can buy real estate and pay no property taxes. Dominica is a country with no property tax. Malta, an island nation in the Mediterranean, which is part of the European Union, also does not levy property taxes and allows foreigners to own property. Monaco. It is another tiny European country which does not charge property taxes or income taxes. The Republic of Georgia is a small country on the Black Sea which identifies as European. Foreigners can buy homes with no yearly property taxes. The United Arab Emirates. It has no property taxes. Dubai. There are no annual property taxes, income taxes, or inheritance taxes in Dubai. Fiji. Several Middle Eastern countries, such as Saudi Arabia and Oman, also levy no property taxes. Sri Lanka.
We know that you are right-thinking, sensible people. We know that you know that in every democratic country in the world, that is a tax that populations accept. Because if you want your road fixed, your drain fixed, your mosquito kill, your police service, your fire service, if you want all that, you make a contribution. The dreaded property tax. That this PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty.
If your property includes a dog kennel, chicken coop, or external prayer room, a value will be applied to these structures to determine the total rental value of your property. If your property includes a dog kennel, chicken coop, or external prayer room, a value will be applied to these structures to determine the total rental value of your property. Opposition leader Kamal Prasad Bissessa had questions about Section 3A.
If you have a dog kennel, a dog, a dog house on your premises, if you have a duck pond, as I do, if you have a the duck pond, the fall coop, a tool shed, change place and so on. Will each of those items be taxed?
Finance Minister Colm Imbert, however, clarified that each of those structures will not be taxed separately, but will be considered in the overall rental value of the property.
This is intended to identify a building that is separate from another building. So, but when you get your valuation, is a valuation of your property. So you have a piece of land on which there are separate buildings. So you'd be liable to, the value of each one will be determined separately, but each building would be valued separately. But each building would be valued separately. But each building would be valued separately. The value of each one will be determined separately, and then when you add it all together, if it is less than 18,000, it will be set at $18,000.
Now, in the bill, $18,000 is the minimum rental value of a property, which will attract a monthly tax of about $40 a month. But opposition leader Kamal Prasad Bissessa felt the inclusion of these separate structures could affect those most vulnerable.
In valuing the premises, we will be valuing the dog house or the duck pond or the collectively, and then you'll get a cumulative total from each item that is valued. So those matters are going to be 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 valued.
The dreaded property tax. Anybody telling the population that this PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty. This country has a party that went to a campaign in an election and told the country that you elect us to office, we will put property tax in place, and we are going to use that money to improve local government, to improve the quality of your life, to improve this country, and we have a mandate. And we are taking steps to ensure that the property tax is collected. And the word I want to use is hypothecate. I have a neighbor who loves that word. Hypothecate means that the revenue comes in and is designated for a particular purpose. So that hypothecation will take place, that money collected that you will pay.
Ria Rampoli, CNC3. One of the more contentious issues in the last general election was that of the property tax. Where in the PNM's manifesto is this addressed?
It's not in the document. This is one of the things we need to talk to people about. It's not in the document. This is one of the things we need to talk to people about.
Let me take that one. I'm glad you raised that. I heard a UNC minister, I think it was the famous Prakash Ramadar, telling people that the PNM will bring back the dreaded property tax. Let me make it abundantly clear. The property tax has already been dealt with. Dreaded property tax. Let me make it abundantly clear. The property tax has already been dealt with. What this UNC government did a few years ago, they returned to land and building taxes in phases. The first phase of bringing the tax back was to treat with commercial properties. The second phase was agricultural properties. And the third phase is the residential. So as I speak to you now, arrangements are already in place put by this UNC administration for land and building taxes for residential properties to come back into being after September 7th. That was done by Larry Hawaii when he became Minister of Finance. So for anybody in the government now to be telling the population that this PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty. So for anybody in the government now to be telling the population that this PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty.
Clearly, people, of course, is the highest level of dishonesty. That son of a bitch, who, of course, told us in no uncertain terms that that is a what? What kind of tax? A dread tax. And we extrapolated, of course, grammatically what dread mean. And we know, of course, what a tax is. An imposition in this case by the state to, of course, raise revenue, to ostensibly, to, of course, service the population. We see that this government is prepared to impose taxes, but not service the population, but service their 1% and themselves. And they then tell us that because they have the power to, of course, go to the parliament and telling us that they get a mandate, they went in, of course, they went in into the 2020 election. Imagine the 2020 election. 2020 election. They went in, of course, with 23 seats and come back out with 22 and say you have a mandate. Say you have a mandate. The Privy Council tell him to go and make certain that the elections for local government is instituted before the year finish. He still come out. He's still talking about using that as a campaign fake, as a campaign falsity, as a campaign, what I consider to be amorphous, a campaign, of course, a phantom, to say that he's delivering to the people. And then, of course, he turned and twist that again, because, as the callers rightly said, has to happen is that we must be unanimous in terms of course, our resistance to that act. In other words, similar to what the Americans did in their quest for independence and ultimately, of course, becoming a republic as they have called a confederation. The American governance system is really a confederation, a federation, a coming together of different states with different cultures, different, of course, even language and tone and ethnicity, but at the same time being part and parcel of one country called the United States. That is why you have a federal court, as opposed, of course, to what is considered to be state courts and state legislatures. That is what they have. But the point I'm making here is that the Boston Tea Party was, of course, the trigger for the eventual independence and the great nation that the United States is, because, of course, the Boston Tea Party symbolizes, and it's something that they will never forget, when, of course, they said no taxation without representation. Well, we don't have any representation in Trinidad and Tobago. We are not guaranteed that they are going to, of course, spend the money that they would have gotten from this property tax on us. We know that. So therefore, no taxation without representation. And therefore, if it is that there is a consensus that nobody will pay the tax, then the ass is grass. And of course, you have nothing to lose simply because this is the penultimate year, 2024, and of course 2025 must come. And then of course we will exact revenge on these fellas, especially when they have to, of course, not only see blue lights, but they must also feel silver bracelets. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And of course, it has been dynamic. It has been wonderful. It has been, of course, a very, what I consider to be effervescence. And we will continue, of course, this and other discussions tomorrow as we look at solutions fundamentally, and as we look at the plight of our young people, and as we look, of course, at the gravitation to crime and criminality. And let us make certain that we have a better future because, of course, we know for sure that Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, the UNC, with the better policies and programs will certainly, of course, reduce. And I am not of the view that the PNM is invincible. I'm not of that view. I say that on the ground report. I'll say that here. I am not of the view. Otherwise, 23 in 1986 would not have existed. 2010 would not have existed. 2000 would not have existed. And more recently, the Tobago 14-1 will not exist. How come they are infallible? How come they are not susceptible to massive defeat? And of course, under the local government elections, is 65,000 persons more voted for the UNC than the PNM, and of course, the UNC only contested the local government election in Trinidad. Understand that. And even if it is dedicated to Trinidad, the fact of the matter is that, of course, they contested less electoral districts than that of the PNM, and still came out Trump. With, of course, their partner NTA. So let us not waste time and have the myth that Rowley and they will try to inculcate and try to, of course, capitalize because, of course, they are looking at history and telling themselves that they could live in the past by this anachronistic madness that is Rowley, and a total political failure, a total political conman, a total political Kobo that, of course, ought not to have been in office in the first place, as he, of course, undermined, like, of course, he did. Not like Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. Kamala Prasad-Bissessar went to the polls on every occasion, a true Democrat, and then she came out Trump. She came out Trump, not like Donald Trump, of course, but Trump here means victorious. Undefeated, one, and at the same time, indubitable, without doubt, the exclusive and, of course, the undisputed leader of the UNC, as opposed, of course, to Rowley, a conman and an opportunist. And I say that when the 2025 maximum election is complete, Diego Martin West must have a return that says Rowley was defeated, the PNM was defeated, and therefore the beginning of criminal and civil investigations. That means as it may, have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. See you tomorrow, of course, Andy, Mikey, and myself. Once again, it was wonderful, of course, having these discussions tonight. And as we open up, and as we, of course, expose, don't let those neophytes and those what I consider to be ignoramus and those persons who clearly, based on wishful thinking, would think that the PNM is infallible and that they don't have, of course, dirty linens to, of course, to wash in public. You can't be more public than when they went in Parliament and Manning was at his throat and he was at Manning's throat. And don't tell me that the PNM is what? They keep themselves indoors. Haul all your tail. Who thinking that? You can't fool me with that. You cannot fool me with that. And those of you who believe that Kamala Prasad-Bissessar took away the party from Pandey, that is not so. What I know is that Rowley, by pernicious and evil and undermining and deceptiveness, took away the party from, of course, the PNM party from Manning. That one I know for sure. And of course, he claimed it as well. He said he went to where? Likoto. Let's go straight, of course, to the concluding, of course, a piece of music. Bye-bye.
Tell them that the priorities and performance is on the path. It's politics to hear them describe to you who you are. First of all, you're a fellow being. Crazy or
then you become a prophet of doom and gloom.
They call me the witch doctor from a land afar, specialized in Obia. The real name, everybody clear the way, casting me spell.
Jano, Jano, hit me now.
To invoke the doctor and then write him a letter. I want to ask him a question, if he knew what was going on. The other day I was passing, I hear people complaining. He is the man with the answer, but he quite over yonder. They say, snake in the valley, snake in the valley.
This is Caribbean Vibes.
Snake.
Rowley must go, Rowley must go.
This is massive go sign. Wicked and wild. Why do? What they do? Why do? What they do? Rowley, you fuck up Trinidad, you fuck it up, 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 you fuck it up. Rowley, you fuck up Trinidad, you fuck it up, 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 you fuck it up. From Citrus to Mayaro, you fuck up Trinidad. From Sango to Tobago, you fuck up Trinidad. Rowley, you fuck up Trinidad. Mr. Kawe, why should everybody support you as the next political leader of the PNM and by extension the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago?
Hold
on, boss, hold on. You could talk English?
Yes. Everything is being camera. The PM is not doing nothing for this country. All your schools not completed. Look at the potholes. Look at crime situation. Vote for me, Kawe, for a better country.
This is a song about a man named Kawe from way down in South. This fella called Kawe from way down in South. Kawe is a fella the people talking about. Now he joined the PNM, they love him all the way. But all them in the PNM supporting Kawe. Rowley for Kawe, Different for Kawe, Struck for Kawe, Fire for Kawe. Listen what I say, the whole of the PNM for Kawe, for Kawe, for Kawe. Yes, for Kawe. Oh, yo, yo, yo. Hey, hey, yo. Kawe's the real man. Kawe have a plan.
But sadly, Eric William passed away. The ship hit rough water that day. Someone turned the bridge over to a captain named Chambers. Me blood crawl, things start to fall. Hold me head when I sail a ball. Captain, this ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes, we gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa. she was a beauty.